Captain Jake Morrison watched the screens in front of him. Another human ship was dying in the cold darkness of space. Fire and metal pieces floated where the colony ship Hope had been just minutes before. 2,000 people had been on that ship. Families with children, old people looking for a new home, all dead now. Jake's hands gripped the chair arms so hard his knuckles turned white. The alien ships that had attacked were already gone. They always ran after destroying human vessels. The Kaleth were cowards who only attacked when they had more ships and bigger guns. "Sir, we're getting a message from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. "Put it through," Jake said. Admiral Lisa Parker's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not slept much lately. Behind her, Jake could see other officers moving around the command center on Luna Station. "Captain Morrison, return to base immediately. We have new orders for you," Admiral Parker said. "What about the survivors?" Jake asked. "There are no survivors," Parker said quietly. The Kaleth made sure of that. Jake felt anger building in his chest. For 3 years, the aliens had been attacking human ships. They destroyed colonies. They killed civilians. They blocked trade routes. And what did Earth's government do? They sent angry letters to the Galactic Council. They asked for help from aliens who did not care about human lives. "Sir, permission to speak freely," Jake said. "Go ahead, Captain. When are we going to fight back? When are we going to stop letting them kill our people?" Admiral Parker was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Soon, Captain, very soon. Just get back to base." The message ended. Jake turned to his crew. They all looked angry too. Everyone was tired of running, tired of watching their people die. "Take us home," Jake told his pilot. 3 days later, Jake stood in Admiral Parker's office on Luna Station. She was looking at reports on her desk. Each report had numbers on it. Numbers of ships lost, numbers of people killed, numbers that kept getting bigger. "Jake, how long have we known each other?" Parker asked. 15 years, ma'am, since the academy. Do you trust me?" "With my life." Parker stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Earth hung in space like a blue and white ball. It looked peaceful from here, but Jake knew it was not peaceful. Angry people filled the streets. They wanted their government to do something about the alien attacks. "What I'm about to tell you is top secret," Parker said. "If anyone finds out, we could all be in trouble." "I understand. President Rodriguez has given us new orders. We're not going to send any more angry letters. We're not going to beg the Galactic Council for help anymore. What are we going to do?" Parker turned around. For the first time in months, she was smiling. "We're going to war, Jake. Real war. The kind that ends with our enemies either surrendering or dead." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "When?" "The operation starts in 6 months. We need that time to get ready. But first, we need to gather information about Kaleth military positions." Parker handed Jake a datapad. On it was information about a secret mission. "You're going to take a small team to the Kepler system. The Kaleth just attacked the colony there. We need you to study the wreckage. Find out everything you can about their weapons and tactics." Jake read the mission details. It was dangerous. If the Kaleth caught them, they would all die. But it was also important. "What aren't you telling me, Admiral?" Parker walked back to her desk. She opened a locked drawer and took out another datapad. "For 20 years, we've been building ships in secret. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt. Weapons research on distant moons. The aliens think we're weak because that's what we wanted them to think." Jake looked at the pictures on the datapad. Ships he had never seen before. Weapons that looked more advanced than anything in the human fleet. "How many ships?" he asked. "Enough," Parker said. "More than enough." "Why didn't we use them before?" "Because we weren't ready. We needed to understand our enemies better. We needed to know their weaknesses. And we needed them to underestimate us completely." Parker took back the datapad and locked it away again. "Jake, what I'm about to tell you is the most important thing you'll ever hear. This war isn't just about revenge. It's about survival. The Galactic Council has been planning to wipe out humanity for years. They see us as a threat to their power. How do you know this? We have people in their government, humans who pretend to work for them but really work for us. They've seen the documents. The Kaleth attacks are just the beginning. If we don't stop them now, they'll destroy Earth itself. Jake felt cold. He had known the aliens did not like humans, but he had not known it was this bad. What do you need me to do? Get that information from Kepler. Find out everything about Kaleth military technology. And Jake? Yes, ma'am? When this war starts, I want you commanding one of our new ships. Are you ready for that? Jake thought about the colony ship Hope, about the families who had died, about all the humans who had been killed by aliens who thought they were better than people from Earth. I've been ready for 3 years, he said. Parker nodded. Good. Because when we hit them, we're going to hit them harder than they ever imagined possible. Jake left the Admiral's office feeling different than when he had entered. For years he had felt helpless watching his people die. Now he felt something else. Hope and anger. The kind of anger that could win wars. Outside the window, Earth continued to spin in space. Soon Jake thought the whole galaxy would know that humans were not as weak as they seemed. Commander Beth Williams turned off the lights in her ship and waited. The Phantom hung in space like a dead rock, invisible to the Kaleth sensors that swept past it every few minutes. Through her window, she could see the enemy fleet preparing for another attack on human colonies. Beth counted the ships. 12 large warships and 30 smaller fighters, enough firepower to destroy any human colony in hours. But the Kaleth had no idea they were being watched by technology they could not even detect. How long until the next sensor sweep? Beth whispered to her navigator, Lieutenant Chris Parker. 3 minutes, Chris replied, checking his instruments. Beth looked at her watch. She had been hiding in Kaleth space for 2 weeks now, mapping their defenses and recording their patrol routes. Every piece of information would help when the real war started. The Phantom was unlike any ship in the known galaxy. Human scientists had spent 15 years developing the gravitational distortion field that made it invisible. They had studied, captured alien technology, learned how sensors worked, and then built something that could fool them completely. Commander, I'm picking up a communication from the Kaleth fleet, said Sergeant Lucy Adams from the communication station. Can you translate it? Yes, ma'am. They're talking about their next target, New Seattle colony in the Ross system. Beth felt anger rise in her chest. New Seattle had 3 million people, families who had left Earth to build better lives among the stars. When? Beth asked. Tomorrow at 800 hours. Beth made a decision. She was supposed to only watch and gather information, but she could not let 3 million people die when she had the power to warn them. Send a coded message to Admiral Parker. Tell her about the planned attack. Use emergency channels. That might give away our position, Chris warned. Then we better be ready to run fast. Meanwhile, on the hidden shipyards near Jupiter, General Ryan Foster watched the final ship roll off the production line. The UES Thunder was the 100th vessel completed in the secret fleet. It looked like no human ship anyone had ever seen before. The Thunder was half again as large as the biggest ships in Earth's official navy. Its hull was made from materials that could absorb energy weapons. Its engines could push it faster than any alien ship, and its weapons were designed to destroy targets that conventional human technology could barely damage. General, the Thunder's AI system is ready for activation, said Dr. Carol Bennett, the chief engineer. Do it, Foster said. The ship's lights came on. Deep inside its computers, an artificial intelligence woke up for the first time. This AI was different from the simple computers on other ships. It could think, plan, and fight like a human, but faster and without fear. Thunder AI online, the ship announced. All systems ready for combat operations. Foster smiled. They had 100 ships like this one, each hidden in different parts of the solar system. The Kaleth thought humanity had maybe 50 warships total. They had no idea that humans had been building a secret fleet for 20 years. How soon can the Thunder be ready for deployment? Foster asked. 2 days for final weapon calibration, Dr. Bennett replied. Then she's ready to fight. In the asteroid belt, engineer Tony Blake worked through another 18-hour shift. Around him, hundreds of workers built weapons and ships in factories carved out of solid rock. The Kaleth had sensors that could detect human activity, but they could not see through miles of stone and metal. Tony was putting together the final components of a quantum torpedo. The weapon was smaller than his fist, but it could punch a hole through the biggest alien battleship. Human scientists had invented it by studying how stars made energy and copying the process. "Tony, we just got word from Admiral Parker," said his supervisor, Maria Santos. "Operation Wildfire is moving up the timeline." "How much time do we have?" Tony asked. 6 weeks instead of 6 months. Tony looked around the factory. They had been planning to build 500 more ships and 10,000 more torpedoes. Now they would have to go to war with what they had. "Can we do it?" Maria asked. Tony thought about his brother who had died in the first Kaleth attack 3 years ago. He thought about all the families who had been killed since then. He thought about the aliens who believed humans were too weak to fight back. "We'll make it work," he said. "We always do." Across the solar system, similar conversations were happening in dozens of hidden bases. On the dark side of the moon, pilots trained in ships that could outmaneuver anything in space. In the Kuiper Belt, soldiers practiced assault tactics that no alien had ever seen before. On Mars, scientists worked on weapons that would shock the galaxy. Colonel Maria Santos briefed her special forces teams in a base carved into an asteroid. The men and women in front of her were the best fighters humanity had ever produced. They had trained for years to fight aliens in their own territory. "Ladies and gentlemen, the mission has changed," Santos said. "We're no longer preparing for a defensive war, we're going on the attack." The soldiers looked at each other with excitement. They were tired of waiting while their people died. "We will hit 12 systems simultaneously," Santos continued. "Not just military targets. We're going after their shipyards, their fuel depots, their command centers, everything that keeps their war machine running." Sergeant Mike Johnson raised his hand. "What about civilian casualties?" "The Kaleth don't have civilians the way we do," Santos replied. "Their entire society is built around conquest. Everyone who works in their war industry is a valid target." She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked Kaleth positions. Blue arrows showed where human forces would strike. "The element of surprise is everything," Santos said. "They think we're weak. They think we'll keep begging the Galactic Council for help. They have no idea what's coming." Back on the Phantom, Beth Williams received confirmation that her warning had reached Admiral Parker. New Seattle Colony was being evacuated. 3 million people would live because she had broken her orders. "Commander, Kaleth ships are changing course," Chris reported. "They're heading for the New Seattle system, but they're moving slowly." "They don't know the colony is being evacuated," Beth realized. "They think they're going to find easy targets." "What do we do?" Beth looked at the alien fleet through her ship's cameras. Soon those ships would find empty buildings instead of helpless families. And when they did, they would discover that humanity was no longer playing by the old rules. "We follow them," Beth said. "I want to see their faces when they realize they've been hunting a predator all along." The Phantom's engines came online silently. In a few hours, the Kaleth would learn their first lesson about what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be weak. Beth smiled as her ship moved through the darkness of space, invisible and deadly like humanity itself. The war began without warning on a Tuesday morning at 600 hours Earth time. Across 12 star systems, Kaleth patrol fleets simply disappeared from their routes. Their last messages were cut short by explosions and static. In the space of 30 minutes, humanity announced to the galaxy that everything had changed. Captain Rick Davis commanded the UES Vengeance as it dropped out of stealth mode behind a Kaleth supply convoy. The alien ships had no time to react. Quantum torpedoes tore through their hulls like paper. Energy beams sliced their engines apart. In less than 5 minutes, 12 enemy vessels became floating debris. "Target destroyed," reported Lieutenant Sam Foster from the weapons station. "No survivors detected." "Good," Rick said. "Move to the next target." The Vengeance was one of humanity's new warships, built in secret and equipped with technology that made it superior to anything the Kaleth had. Its AI system calculated enemy movements before they happened. Its weapons could punch through armor that had protected alien ships for centuries. But the real advantage was something the aliens could not copy or understand. Human tactics were chaos shaped by intelligence. Where other species fought with careful plans and slow movements, humans attacked like wild animals with advanced weapons. In the Rigel system, Commander Betty Thompson led a squadron of human fighters against a Kaleth battle station. The station's defensive guns were designed to stop large ships moving in predictable patterns. They could not track small vessels that flew in crazy spirals and loops. "Red Squadron, follow my lead," Betty called over the radio. "Remember, we're not here to play fair." Her fighter dove toward the station, spinning and rolling to avoid enemy fire. Behind her, 20 other pilots copied her movements. They looked like a swarm of angry insects attacking a giant metal flower. The Kaleth gunners tried to hit them, but human pilots thought differently than aliens. They did not fly in straight lines or follow standard attack patterns. They improvised, changed direction without warning, and used every trick they had learned in years of secret training. Betty's missiles struck the station's main reactor. The explosion was visible from 3 planets away. "Station destroyed," she reported. "Moving to secondary targets." Admiral Kevin Murphy coordinated the assault on Kaleth Prime's orbital defenses from his flagship Retribution. Around him, dozens of officers worked at computer stations tracking the progress of human forces across the galaxy. Red lights showed enemy positions. Blue lights showed where those positions used to be. "Report from the 7th Fleet," called out Colonel Janet Adams. "All targets in the Vega system eliminated. No human casualties." 3rd Fleet reports success at Wolf 359, added Lieutenant Ron Parker. "Enemy shipyard completely destroyed." Murphy nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For months, human spies had mapped every important Kaleth military installation. When the attack began, humanity knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. "Sir, we're getting reports of Kaleth reinforcements moving toward Earth," warned Captain Lisa Brooks. "How many ships?" 200 vessels, including their newest battleships." Murphy smiled. "Patch me through to the Home Defense Fleet." Admiral Grace Miller appeared on the main screen. She was commanding Earth's defenses from a station hidden in the asteroid belt. "Grace, you have company coming," Murphy said. "I know. We've been tracking them for an hour. Don't worry, Kevin. They're in for a big surprise." The Kaleth fleet arrived at Earth expecting to find a few dozen outdated human warships. Instead, they faced 200 vessels equipped with technology they had never seen before. Weapons that could destroy their shields in seconds. Engines that made human ships faster than anything in space. And tactics that turned every rule of space combat upside down. Admiral Joris Vec commanded the Kaleth fleet from his flagship destroyer of worlds. He had fought dozens of battles against primitive species. This should have been easy. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show these humans the price of defying the Kaleth Empire." His ships moved forward in perfect formation, just as they had been trained. But the human fleet did not wait to receive their attack. Instead, they charged forward, like madmen, firing weapons that cut through Kaleth armor like it was made of thin metal. "What are those weapons?" Vec demanded. "Unknown technology," replied his science officer. "Our shields cannot stop them. Then destroy them with our superior numbers." But numbers meant nothing when the enemy could not be hit. Human ships moved, in patterns that made no sense. They attacked from above and below, from left and right, sometimes even flying backwards while shooting. The careful Kaleth formations fell apart under the chaotic human assault. Dr. Helen Brooks watched the battle from her bunker on Mars. On her screens, she could see the quantum virus she had created spreading through the Kaleth computer networks. Every time the aliens tried to coordinate their ships, the virus disrupted their communications. "Virus deployment successful," she reported to Admiral Parker. "Enemy coordination is down by 70%. "Excellent work, Helen. How long until total system failure?" 12 minutes. The virus was Helen's masterpiece. She had studied alien computer systems for years, learning how they worked and where they were vulnerable. The virus did not just destroy data. It turned the Kaleth's own technology against them, making their weapons target friendly ships and their navigation systems send them into asteroids. Captain Pete Anderson encountered the Zephrani Empire's Third Fleet at the Nexus Junction, a critical hyperspace route that connected dozens of star systems. The Zephrani had come to help their Kaleth allies, but they found humanity instead. "This is Admiral Zorn of the Zephrani Empire," came a message on all frequencies. "Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Pete laughed. "This is Captain Anderson, of the human fleet. You want to destroy us? Come and try." The Zephrani fleet was 3 times larger than Pete's force, but size was not everything. The Zephrani fought like the Kaleth, with careful formations and predictable tactics. Pete's ships fought like humans, with wild creativity and absolute determination. When the battle ended 6 hours later, the Zephrani Third Fleet no longer existed. 300 alien ships had been reduced to wreckage and radiation. Pete's force had lost 12 vessels, but they had sent a message that echoed across the galaxy. Humanity would not be stopped. Back on Earth, President Danny Rodriguez addressed the nation from the Oval Office. His speech was broadcast to human colonies across the galaxy and intercepted by alien intelligence services. "My fellow humans," he said, "for 3 years we have endured attacks on our people. We have asked for justice and received only silence. We have appealed to galactic law and been ignored. Today we remind the galaxy of an important truth. Humans do not stay victims for long." Behind him, through the window, fires could be seen burning in the night sky. They were not the fires of destruction, but the flames from rocket engines carrying human warships to new battles across the stars. The war was no longer coming, the war was here, and humanity intended to win it. News of humanity's attack spread across the galaxy faster than the human ships themselves. In government buildings on 1,000 worlds, alien leaders watched reports that changed everything they thought they knew about the species from Earth. Ani, the Thraxian homeworld, Supreme Commander Gix watched video feeds from the battle at Kaleth Prime. Human ships moved through space like deadly dancers, destroying vessels that had been considered unbeatable for centuries. "How is this possible?" Gix asked his intelligence chief. "We believe the humans have been developing secret technology for decades," came the reply. "Our spies report massive hidden shipyards throughout their solar system." Gix felt cold fear creep up his spine. The Thraxians had always planned to conquer humanity after the Kaleth weakened them. Now it looked like humanity was stronger than anyone had imagined. Ambassador Claire Thompson walked into the Galactic Assembly Chamber with her head held high. Around her, representatives from hundreds of species whispered and pointed. Many looked afraid. They had good reason to be. For 3 years, Claire had come to this chamber to ask for help for her people. The other ambassadors had ignored her, laughed at her, or told her that humans should learn their place in the galaxy. Today would be different. "Honored representatives," Claire began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast hall. "I come before you to discuss the current military situation between humanity and the Kaleth Empire." The Kaleth ambassador, a tall creature with 4 arms and purple skin, stood up angrily. "Your species has committed acts of war against a peaceful empire. We demand immediate punishment." Claire smiled coldly. "Peaceful? You destroyed our colonies. You killed our civilians. You blockaded our trade routes. And when we asked this assembly for help, you did nothing." She activated a holographic display that showed the recent battles. Alien representatives gasped as they watched human fleets tear through Kaleth forces with shocking efficiency. "We tried diplomacy," Claire continued. "We tried following galactic law. We tried working within your system. Since those paths were closed to us, we opened new, ones with plasma fire and quantum explosives." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some species demanded that humanity be punished. Others worried about what this meant for galactic stability. A few quietly began calculating whether they should ally with humans or against them. Chancellor Voss, leader of the Galactic Council, called for order. "Ambassador Thompson, humanity's actions threaten the peace of the entire galaxy. We cannot allow one species to attack another without consequence." "Then why did you allow the Kaleth to attack us for 3 years without consequence?" Claire asked, "Why are human lives worth less than alien lives?" Voss had no answer for that. Admiral Grace Miller received reports from across the war zone in her command center on Luna Station. Human forces had achieved every primary objective within the first week of hostilities. The speed and completeness of their victory shocked even Miller herself. Calith military capacity is down 70%, reported Colonel Dan Wilson. Their main fleet is destroyed, their shipyards are rubble, their command structure is in chaos. What about their allies? Miller asked. The Zafrani Third Fleet was completely destroyed at Nexus Junction. The Draxan Empire has recalled all ships to defend their home systems. The Veltar are requesting emergency peace talks. Miller nodded. The plan had worked better than anyone had dared hope. By hitting hard and fast across multiple systems, humanity had prevented the Calith from organizing an effective defense. Any word from the Galactic Council? They're demanding we stop our attacks and submit to arbitration, said Captain Rob Lewis. Miller laughed. After 3 years of ignoring our request for help, now they want to talk. Tell them we'll consider arbitration after the Calith surrender unconditionally. On the bridge of the UES Thunder, Captain Jenny Adams watched Calith Prime grow larger in her view screen. The enemy homeworld was protected by massive defense platforms and hundreds of ships. It should have been impossible for humanity to reach. But impossible was becoming a common word in reports about human military capabilities. Target the orbital defense stations, Jenny ordered. All ships begin bombardment. The human fleet opened fire with weapons that made the darkness of space flash like lightning. Quantum torpedoes struck alien shields and punched through them like they were made of glass. Energy beams sliced through armor that had protected Calith worlds for 1,000 years. The Calith defenders fought desperately, but they were outmatched in every way. Human ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, their tactics more effective. Within hours, the orbital defenses of Calith Prime were floating debris. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface," reported Lieutenant Tim Brown. "Put it through." The face of Calith Emperor Mors appeared on the main screen. The proud leader who had ordered attacks on human colonies now looked old and defeated. "I request terms for surrender," he said quietly. Jenny felt satisfaction flow through her. "You want terms? Here are our terms. Unconditional surrender, full reparations for all human casualties, and war crimes trials for everyone who ordered attacks on our civilians. That is unacceptable. Then we'll continue bombing your planet until you change your mind." To emphasize her point, Jenny ordered a demonstration strike on an empty military base. The explosion was visible from orbit. "You have 1 hour to decide," she told the Emperor. Dr. Alex Carter worked in his laboratory on Titan, developing new weapons for humanity's expanding fleet. Even though the war was going well, he knew it was not over. Other species would challenge humanity eventually. They needed to be ready. "Doctor, we're getting reports of alien fleets massing in the outer sectors," said his assistant, Nurse Linda Garcia. "Which species?" "The Corvin Hegemony and the Stellar Federation. They're joining forces to stop our expansion." Carter smiled. The galaxy's major powers were finally taking humanity seriously. But they were too late. Human industry was already producing ships faster than any alien empire could match. "How many ships are they bringing?" "Intelligence estimates over 1,000 vessels." "And how many ships will we have ready by the time they reach human space?" Linda checked her data pad. 1,500, with more launching every day. Carter nodded. The secret shipyards had been working at full capacity since the war began. While alien leaders debated and planned, human factories churned out warships with ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, Captain Beth Williams continued her reconnaissance mission in Calith space. Her stealth ship Phantom had been gathering intelligence for weeks, watching alien defenses crumble before human attacks. "Commander, I'm detecting a large fleet heading for the Centauri system," reported her navigator, Chris Parker. "How large?" 200 ships. Looks like a combined force from multiple species." Beth activated her ship's long-range communications. "Luna Command, this is Phantom. I have eyes on a major alien fleet moving toward human territory." Admiral Parker's voice came through the speakers. "Understood, Beth. Can you identify the species involved? Kaleth survivors, Zephrani reinforcements, and ships I don't recognize. They're planning something big. Keep monitoring them. Help is on the way. Beth smiled as she thought about the help that was coming. 3 months ago, that alien fleet would have been unstoppable. Now it was just another target for humanity's war machine. In the depths of space, hidden factories continued working around the clock. Human engineers had learned to build ships faster and better than any species in the galaxy. While aliens still used methods that took months to complete a vessel, humans could launch a new warship every few days. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about the species from Earth. Humans could be patient when they needed to be. But once they decided to fight, they fought with everything they had, and everything they had was more than anyone had imagined. The war that was supposed to destroy humanity was instead destroying their enemies. Species that had ruled the galaxy for centuries now faced the possibility of becoming servants to the newcomers from a small blue planet. The galaxy would never be the same again. 3 months after the first human ships had opened fire, Emperor Moors of the Kaleth Empire stood in the surrender chamber aboard the UES Triumph. The massive human dreadnought hung in orbit above Kaleth Prime like a metal moon, its weapons pointed at the planet below. Admiral Gary Nelson watched the alien leader sign the surrender documents with 4 different pens, one for each of his hands. The papers were not just about ending the war. They gave humanity control over 12 star systems, mining rights to asteroid belts worth trillions of credits, and payments that would fund human expansion for the next century. With this signature, the Kaleth Empire acknowledges human sovereignty over all disputed territories, Admiral Nelson said. You will also pay full reparations for civilian casualties and turn over all war criminals for trial. Emperor Moors looked up with hatred in his large black eyes. You think this ends here, human? Other species will rise against you. The galaxy will not accept your dominance. Let them try, Nelson replied calmly. We've proven what happens to those who underestimate humanity. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy on quantum networks that had once carried news of human defeats. Now they showed a different story. The species that many had dismissed as primitive newcomers was dictating terms to one of the galaxy's former great powers. President Nancy Campbell sat in the Oval Office, preparing for the most important speech in human history. Outside her window, she could see celebration fires burning in the streets of Washington. Similar celebrations were happening on every human world across the galaxy. My fellow humans, she began. Her words carried instantly to colonies hundreds of light years away. 3 months ago, our enemies believed we were weak. They thought we would accept being victims forever. They were wrong. The camera showed images of human fleets patrolling space that had once been forbidden to them. New colonies were being built on worlds that the Galactic Council had declared off-limits to humanity. We did not start this war, President Campbell continued, but we finished it, and we finished it in a way that will ensure our children can live in peace among the stars. She paused, looking directly into the camera. To those species who are watching this broadcast, understand this. Humanity seeks peace, but we will never again accept being treated as inferior. We offer friendship to those who treat us as equals. To those who do not, we offer the same fate that befell the Kaleth Empire. Commander Steve Johnson led the first human patrol through what had once been Kaleth territory. His squadron of 12 ships flew past the wreckage of alien fleets that had thought themselves unbeatable. Floating debris reminded everyone who controlled this region of space now. Sir, we're detecting new human colonies on the 4th planet, reported Lieutenant Carol Adams. Already? The surrender was signed 3 days ago. Yes, sir. Colony ships launched from the reserve fleet. 200,000 settlers are already setting up mining operations. Steve nodded. Humanity had been planning for victory even before the war began. Colony ships had been built and loaded with supplies, waiting for the moment when new worlds became available. Human efficiency shocked even their allies. Any sign of alien activity? Negative, sir. All former Kaleth military units have withdrawn to their core systems. They're staying well away from human patrols. On the bridge of the research vessel Discovery, Dr. Alex Carter studied reports from across human space. The war had ended faster than anyone had predicted, but Carter was already thinking about the future. The galaxy remained a dangerous place, filled with species that might one day challenge human interests again. "Doctor, we're receiving requests for alliance meetings from 17 different species," said his research assistant, Dr. Nina Foster. 17? Last month, none of them would return our calls. Apparently, destroying the Kaleth fleet has improved our diplomatic standing considerably. Carter smiled. Fear was an excellent motivator in galactic politics. Species that had once laughed at human requests for fair treatment now competed to offer trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. What about the major powers? The Thraxian Empire and the Veltar Federation? Both have sent ambassadors requesting formal meetings. They want to discuss peaceful coexistence. Carter remembered when those same empires had supported the Kaleth attacks on human colonies. Now they wanted to be friends. It was amazing how quickly attitudes changed when faced with superior firepower. Admiral Lisa Parker, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Forces, stood in her new headquarters at New Geneva Station. The massive space station had been built in the asteroid belt during the secret preparation years. Now it served as the command center for humanity's growing interstellar empire. Status report she requested from her staff. Human forces now control 43 star systems, reported General Ryan Foster. Our fleet has grown to over 2,000 vessels, with more launching every week. Industrial production is up 400% since the war began, added Colonel Maria Santos. The captured Kaleth facilities are being converted to human manufacturing standards. What about alien reactions? Mixed, Foster replied. Some species are requesting alliance negotiations, others are building up their military forces, and a few are trying to stay neutral. Parker walked to the observation deck and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien leaders were making decisions about how to respond to humanity's rise. Some would choose friendship, others would choose opposition. It did not matter. Humanity was ready for either choice. Captain Jenny Adams had been promoted to admiral and given command of the new Second Fleet. Her ships patrolled the outer edges of human space, watching for threats and protecting the steady stream of colony ships heading to new worlds. "Admiral, we're detecting an alien fleet approaching our territory," reported Captain Bob Lewis from the frigate Eagle. "How many ships?" 50 vessels, mixed species, but they're flying under Thraxian command flags. Jenny checked her tactical display. The alien fleet was large enough to threaten a small human colony, but nowhere near strong enough to challenge a full human battle group. "Broadcast a warning on all frequencies," she ordered. "This is Admiral Adams of the Human Defense Force. You are approaching sovereign human territory. State your intentions or withdraw immediately." The alien fleet stopped at the edge of human space and began broadcasting on diplomatic frequencies. "This is Admiral Zek of the Thraxian Empire. We request permission to enter human space for trade negotiations." Jenny almost laughed. 6 months ago, the Thraxians had called humans a minor species not worth their attention. Now they were asking permission to enter human territory. "Permission granted for one ship only," she replied. "All other vessels will remain at the border." The galaxy's political structure had been turned upside down in just 3 months. Species that had ruled for centuries now had to ask permission from humans. Trade routes that had been controlled by alien empires now flew human flags, and in the depths of space, hidden shipyards continued their work. Human engineers built vessels for a future when humanity might once again need to remind the galaxy that some species were far more dangerous than they appeared. Dr. Helen Brooks worked in her new laboratory on Europa, developing even more advanced technologies for humanity's expanding fleet. The quantum virus that had crippled Kaleth computer systems was just the beginning. She was already designing weapons that could disable entire star systems if necessary. "Doctor, we're getting requests for technology sharing from multiple alien species," said her assistant, engineer Tom Blake. "What kind of technology?" "Defensive systems mostly. They want protection against weapons like ours." Helen smiled. "Tell them we'll consider sharing defensive technology in exchange for full diplomatic recognition and favorable trade agreements." "And if they refuse?" Then they can figure out how to defend themselves against quantum torpedoes on their own. The war had ended, but humanity's expansion was just beginning. New colonies sprouted on dozens of worlds. Human trade ships carried goods and ideas to species that had never seen Earth technology before, and human warships made sure that no one would ever again mistake humanity for easy prey. The galaxy had learned that humans could be patient when necessary, diplomatic when possible, but utterly ruthless when threatened. It was a lesson that would not be forgotten for a very long time. In classrooms on alien worlds, students now learned about the human war as a turning point in galactic history. The moment when a young species proved that age and tradition meant nothing compared to innovation and determination. And on Earth, children looked up at the stars and knew that someday they might walk on worlds their parents had won with courage and superior firepower. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and now it belonged to humanity as much as anyone else.